Our anime starts with Lauren and Rita, two young girls in the bush, are going to be robbed by robbers. That is, until Ark, a giant armored knight, appears and slays the robbers with a single swing of his sword. Before all of this, Ark wakes up next to a tree, perplexed by his predicament. The video game enthusiast quickly discovers that he is in the same medieval fantasy world as his favorite character, Ark, a holy knight. He remembers playing the game before falling asleep the night before, but he really likes the notion of being a knight. He tries out the widen slash move and is taken aback by its power arc, which slowly teleports him to a nearby river. He removes his helmet to get a drink. However, he finds he has a skeleton body. Knowing that a skeleton would frighten the people in town, he resolves to wear his helmet at all times while wandering aimlessly about the town of Luard. Ark comes upon a woman fighting with an investigator, who turns out to be an elf, which fascinates him, but he quickly loses sight of her. He does, however, discover a mercenary guild where he intends to make money, but he must first obtain a mercenary license. This is performed by completing a trial. The receptionist informs Ark that the trial needs him to provide proof of subjection of one of three opponents: a beast, a monster, or a bandit. Without delay, Ark embarks on his conquest, returning us to the beginning of this adventure. He comes across a group of males. One of them is interacting with two ladies, and he considers getting involved at first. But, as it turns out, he slays the bandits regardless. Lauren is a noble woman, and Rita is her maid while they heal in secret. Ark comes to town for his mercenary license and obtains a rune stone after looting all the bandits' possessions before taking the ladies out of town. The receptionist encourages him to remove them anytime he kills a monster, because it can be turned into a magical weapon right after a skeleton indulges in the finest thing life has to give: food. Although I'm not sure how that works for a skeleton like him. Ark, on the other hand, is excited to begin his new life. He undertakes a low-level mission to safeguard Marco, a small rural girl who gets the healing herbs, and Ark are exploring the forest when they stumble upon a wounded Kitsu. The small creature bites his finger, and R uses healing magic to heal it. The creature circles Ark's feet in admiration, then refuses to leave his side. It's really cute, so he calls it Panta, and they proceed into the forest till they come across the Ko tree in full bloom. Before the monster can stomp out a mark, a gigantic green basil emerges, takes her out of the line of fire, and then he avoids the monster's poison frog breath assaults. Ark splits the monster in half with his judgment assault. Thus, it is defeated. However, he requests that Mark keep this hidden in order to avoid drawing unwanted attention, which goes against the whole low-key notion. Soon after noticing a magical ring on the beast, which mysteriously vanishes, he brings the little girl to her community, along with a massive boar for them to feast on. Later on, a group of soldiers take down other basils. They stumble to the considerably larger basils Art killed earlier, and are astounded by this. They believe it was some kind of god, in the meantime, and contemplate in gladness a feast. And the next day, he contemplates engaging on a more difficult adventure, accepting a job arc dealing with robbers, hiding in a woodland caw. Taking their riches is considered loot. He also finds empty cages before departing. Lord Triton, DTO, who is also concerned about his son, Ulan, risking his life for an unlawful slave business back in the forest arc, is contacted by a female elf Aryan and Vin, who is accusing him of abducting healthy children. That is, until she encounters Pana, a woodland spirit being that rarely trusts mortals. Given this, she concludes that cannot be the kidnapper. He offers to help, but she declines. The next day, Ark discovers that the abducted elves are being tormented by Lan and his soldiers. Ulan not only mocks the females for attempting to flee, but he also stabs one of them in the leg. Ark observes everything as it happens, and before he could say anything, Aryan comes and kills two robbers with a single swipe. She rescues the majority of the slaves but is forced to surrender. When Ulan threatens the children, he tears off her coat, checks her body, and then violates her further by removing her skirt with his knife. Finally, Ark steps up and attacks Yuyen with his armor lat, knocking him unconscious. Bayan then deals with the remaining robbers, and the elven children are rescued. The youngsters, on the other hand, are wearing collars that limit their strength. Ark, fortunately, utilizes his talents to remove them and heal the female who had been stabbed earlier. This deed astounds Aryan, and she calls her spirit creature, a vile whisperer, to send a message about the rescued elves, who refuse to accept that Ark is a simple adventure while remaining confident of his reliability. She encourages him to assist her in her search for additional enslaved elves, accompany Arya into the town of DTO where they meet her elf friend Danka Ark. Of course, is looking forward to seeing another lovely elf fighter, but he quickly discovers that Danka is a youngster who immediately distrusts him after dark. They all set out on their task, while a strange figure observes from above. Aeon teleports the party to the rooftop utilizing Dimension Move Arc. But she then tries to shove her body through the window. As a result, Arc is forced to teleport once more, but this time inside the structure. He could have easily done it from the start. They divide up an Aryan, and Danka comes upon several bandits with their throats slit in their bed. They were slashed. Arc gets assaulted by a ninja. The ninja calms down as she sees Ponto come from behind him. Deducing that the Arc is there for the captive elves, out of regret for assaulting Arc, she hands him a roll of paper before leaving. She informs him that the Lord's castle is holding 2 more elves. They rescue the 4 captive elves in the cellar. Then Arc and Ion teleport to the Lord's palace to observe from afar. This is how our anime ends. Leave us a comment on how you found this anime recap. See you in the next anime recap.